Hello and welcome to another episode of Stand Up for Jehovah. Now I have got a truly amazing story for you today, and I can't thank Sarah Connell enough for sending me this story. It's absolutely fantastic and completely true. And the reason we know it's completely true is because it happened in the congregation that Sarah's dad and mum and sister and brother-in-law and their children attend. Obviously Sarah doesn't. And the thing about this story is it was such a traumatising event that her dad wasn't able to talk about it for over a year. Trauma aside, it is a bloody funny story. So here's what happens. A brother moves into Sarah's dad's congregation called Kevin, and to protect his privacy, I'm going to refer to him as Brother Knucklehead. And Brother Knucklehead claims to be a member of the Anointed, one of the 144,000. And he has a little following that come with him, like groupies, like faithful and discreet groupies that also move into the congregation. And he's an elder, so he's serving on the body of elders with Sarah's dad, who is the presiding overseer, or whatever the new light version of PO is, in the congregation. So Brother Knucklehead and his wife, Sister Knucklehead, and his faithful and discreet groupies live up a hill, and they're kind of doing general construction work of some description, but nobody takes much notice because that's what he's doing in his own time. At the meetings, Sarah says, over a period of months, Brother and Sister Knucklehead's answers start getting more and more weird and extreme and kind of passionate. And this builds up and up and up to a climax when the traumatising event happens. So at the service meeting, Brother Knucklehead has a part on the meeting, and he gets up onto the platform and he opens his Bible and reads a scripture. All well and good and safe so far. And then he says, "Tonight, brothers and sisters, is the night we've all been waiting for. Armageddon is due tonight at midnight." And he says, "But it's okay. It's okay, don't worry. I've built a shelter for everyone up in the hills. And you can all follow me up to my shelter and we can watch Armageddon happening tonight at midnight." And everybody's looking round like, holy crap, what's happening? And Sarah's dad, who's the presiding overseer, feels some kind of responsibility to do something, and he turns to Sarah's brother-in-law who's on the sound and says, "Cut the sound, cut the sound, cut the sound." So the sound gets cut, and Brother Knucklehead is espousing about Armageddon and realises that the sound's been cut and gets royally pissed off and grabs his Bible and marches out of the Kingdom Hall. How amazing would that be? How truly exciting. Finally, something's happened that's worth listening to. Everybody wakes up from the hypnotic stupor that was the boring meeting and goes, "What just happened?" Anyway, I'm making light of it, but everyone was genuinely traumatised. And Sarah's dad has to get up onto the platform and make an apology for this elder who's on the body of elders and say, "The rest of us, we're not in agreement with this. We don't endorse his message." And kind of has to give a talk apologising. And I guess everyone goes home like a mixture of stunned and excited. And that's a great story. And Sarah tells me that really the aftermath is the story, because what happens after this is that people are genuinely traumatised, and half of the body of elders stands down with immediate effect. And Sarah's dad, this is the only bit of the story that's not very funny, gets ill, physically ill, and is in such trauma that he can't even talk about this event for a year. He can't even discuss it with anyone. And after a year, he tells Sarah about it. And so I'm thinking, geez, that's like heavy shit, man, isn't it? Armageddon actually coming tonight. And for a split second, people might have believed it. You would, wouldn't you, at first, before before the real person kicked in. He thought, well, that's nutty. That's proper fruity. But I was thinking this, this guy, he really believed it. He wasn't just saying it. He'd been building the freaking ark up in the hills for months and months. He must have genuinely believed his own hype. Now, to me, that is a genuine mental illness, to believe something so bizarre and act on it. And he must have been buying his own lumber. We call it wood in England. But there you go. He must have been buying his own timber and building this damn thing, mustn't he? So I said to Sarah, so what happened to Brother Knucklehead afterwards? Did he just not come back ever again? Which is what I'd have done if it had been me, or if I'd been Sister Knucklehead and that had been my husband. And she says, no, he carried on going to the meetings, but her dad phoned up the elders hotline. Hello, elders hotline. And got him removed as an elder. So he's no longer an elder, but he still goes to the meetings. So then I thought, how awkward would it be if he invites you round his house for tea? And his house is this ark that is built to save everybody months ago when Armageddon didn't come. And you go, oh, do you want to come round for tea? No, you're all right, thanks. And what if you did go around for tea? You sat in a big freaking Kingdom Hall sized box of imminent doom, having your spam and cold potatoes, going, well, this is awkward. Nice view from that window. Yeah, we were going to watch Armageddon from there, but it never happened. What a wacko. But I did get to thinking, why was it so traumatising for the people that were in this congregation and for the elders who all stood down? And I've got a few theories about why you would just not laugh it off and think, geez, what a nutter. Well, look, we've all had nutters come to Kingdom Hall, haven't we? We had one. We were listed in the phone book as the contact for our Kingdom Hall. And so we had a nutter turn up at our house one morning. And he said to us, I like clapping. Can I have a lift to the meeting? And my dad had to kind of tactfully guide I like clapping back to the local bus station and give him his bus fare home. And I suppose part of his thinking, I should be like encouraging this person into the truth. And the other part of his thinking, I've just taken a dynamic risk assessment and decided that this man is cuckoo. I've just denied him everlasting life by deciding he's a loon. So we've all had nutters, but the I like clapping nutter was a lot easier to deal with than Brother Knucklehead, who was an elder and a member of the 144,000 and had, some kind of top trump card, some direct line to God and his thoughts. To suddenly have to make that dynamic risk assessment within seconds and decide, no, he's a nutter. That must have really snapped some people's brains, mustn't it? To go from godly person to nutter in seconds would be difficult, I would think. The other thing is, you kind of have nutterness by association, don't you? It kind of rubs off on you. If you've been serving on the body of elders with this guy for months and months, listening to his nuttiness and listening and accepting it all as genuine and sensible and real, and suddenly realising, no, he was completely loony. To suddenly realise that you've been accepting someone, even elevating them above yourself because he's a member of the anointed, and then suddenly having to realise he's a nutter. That kind of makes you a nutter for believing the nutter, doesn't it? It's frightening. And the other thing is, to suddenly have Armageddon upon you instantly, this thing that you've been yearning and hoping for weeks and months and years, all your life, to suddenly have it, even if only for a few seconds, believing that it's coming in your mind, well, that kind of makes you realise, do I actually want this? I remember being You know how teenagers are always suicidal? Oh, I'm so miserable. I want to die. I remember doing that whole teenage I want to die thing when I was in a car with somebody and he went, right, come on then. And he put his foot on the accelerator and started driving faster and faster down a road. And I suddenly had to decide, oh, do I actually want to die? Or was I just saying it for effect? No, stop, I was only joking. I don't really want to die. It was just being a teenager. I'm sorry. I didn't want to die. I genuinely didn't want to die. I was just being, really huffy and teenage about it. And I just wonder if there's something teenage about Armageddon. Oh, I wish Armageddon would come and kill everyone. Oh, I wish everyone would die. And then when it's imminently upon you, oh, holy crap, I don't really want everyone to die. Not really. I was just saying it. And then to have to acknowledge that you've been going out and knocking on strangers' doors for years, talking about something that actually, when faced with it, you don't really want. How can you justify pushing that concept onto people when faced with it, you suddenly think, do you know what? I don't know if I want Armageddon. It's horrible. It's all killy and deathy and gory and birdie-eaty. And it's easy to talk about it, but for it actually to be something that's going to happen immediately, even if that was only for a few seconds before you made the dynamic risk assessment that the guy was a loon, that's a frightening thought. So it might have made some people reassess the beliefs and whether they really wanted it to come or not. And the other thing I thought was, what about the poor kids in the congregation? Generally speaking, children believe what you tell them. That's their job. You're the adult, you tell them stuff. They're the kid, they believe it. They've got nothing else to measure it against. If you tell them nutty stuff like, I don't know, like shagging your sister's normal, they'll think that shagging your sister's normal. It happens, trust me. I work with children that has happened to. They genuinely believe what you tell them. If you're telling them something nutty, they believe it. Now, every other person in that Kingdom Hall, at that point where Brother Knucklehead got up and said Armageddon's coming at midnight, every other adult in the congregation would have been able to make that dynamic decision, no, I don't think it is. But the kids would have just thought, yeah, Armageddon's coming because that's what we've been talking about all my life. And then when it didn't come, what kind of effect is that going to have on those kids? It's frightening. Sarah said, thank God that her sister's children weren't there that night, because that is a truly traumatising thing to say to children, to come from an adult that's been revered as somebody with knowledge from God. Just bizarre. So I can't think of a more exciting thing that could ever have happened in a congregation anywhere. I just cannot think of something that would have woken you up from that hypnotic stupor that was the meetings than somebody getting up and announcing, not only is Armageddon coming, but I've built an ark for us all to go to shelter in. Oh, joy. We've all got to walk up a hill and live with each other forever. What a terrifying thought. I genuinely hope that a lot of people, once they get over the trauma, wake up in that congregation. But most of all, I really, really hope that Sarah's dad, who got properly ill from this event, gets better and eventually wakes up. And hopefully one day he can look back and laugh at it. But you kind of think, it wasn't really a laughing matter. For us it is, but for them, not really. Thank you for listening to another episode of Stand Up for Jehovah.